I went to a rave in an abandoned factory. It burned down and I saw something terrifying in the fire. So my friend Liam gives me a call, tells me that he managed to get us tickets to one of those pop-up raves that's hosted in a weird location like a sewer or a warehouse or something. This one happened to be in an old abandoned textile factory near the edge of the city. Sounds sketchy, I know, but there's actually a good bit of funding and effort that goes into these things. This is to say that the final venue ends up being something passable, a level above an outright safety hazard. Honestly, I'd always thought these things were a bit lame, pretentious even. But I had nothing else going on that night, so I thought, why the hell not? We get there at around midnight, and it turns out to be a fucking blast for as long as it lasts. 2 a.m. rolls around and I'm drunk and extremely high in the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet scrolling through Instagram reels when the screaming starts. Sounds of mass panic. Then I start to smell the smoke and sober up enough to understand what's happening. I rush out of the bathroom into a mob of frenzied bodies. The smoke now heavy enough to make my eyes water. Try to find the exit, but it's sheer chaos and I'm disoriented as hell. People keep running into me and at some point I'm knocked flat on my ass, forced to crawl around until I managed to escape the crowd. At which point I found myself kneeling in front of the makeshift stage, something now completely engulfed in flames. And there I saw him, a strange, inexplicable figure standing right in the midst of the fire. A young dude, maybe mid-20s, lanky frame, pale skin, dark and wild hair, bulging fish-like eyes. He was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, holding a black camcorder up to his face, and showing absolutely no reaction to the heat. Even his clothes weren't burning up. He was just standing there and filming, calm as anybody could ever be, filming me specifically. I guess it was hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure he was pointing the camera directly at me. I stared at him for what felt like no longer than a few seconds before the air had grown too suffocating to deal with. Then I turned, ran like hell out of there. I don't really remember making it outside, but I do remember collapsing on the grass and hacking up my lungs. My vision reduced to a field of blotted orange shapes as concerned but disembodied voices called out asking if I was okay, which I wasn't, at least not right then. I passed out shortly after and then woke up in an ambulance, an EMT hovering above me. Liam was also there. I could see the relief in his eyes, which just as quickly turned into anger. He sighed. "Fucking hell, dude," he said. "Glad you're okay. But what the fuck were you doing?" I shook my head. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what the hell were you doing in there for so long? Did you fall down and twist your ankle or something?" "What?" I responded. "No, I just got caught up with the crowd." Liam shook his head again. "What? That's not possible, dude. Why the hell not?" I was genuinely confused what he was trying to get at here. "Because you were the last one out." I stared at him. "What do you mean? You came out like 5 minutes after everybody else did. Even the fucking DJ got out before you." "What?" I couldn't see how that was possible, but hardly had the energy to argue it. "What were you doing in there?" he asked me again. I shrugged. "Maybe I fell," I said. "Hit my head or something." By the time that the ambulance had pulled up to the hospital, I was coherent enough to refuse any further treatment. My insurance wouldn't have covered enough for it to be worth it. In any case, I felt fine enough. Lungs were still stinging a bit, but not so bad. Not worth the hassle. For the first few nights after the incident, the paranoia was something else. My head was being flooded with these fucked up thoughts. Like, what if that guy knew where I lived? What if he was following me home at night? What if he was somewhere in my apartment right now, filming me through a crack in my closet or something? A hellish state of mind. Sleep was like pulling teeth. And the little that I managed to get was invaded by nightmares so vivid and horrific that it was nearly euphoric to wake up and realize they hadn't actually happened. So I took to smoking and drinking before bed. I'm sure there's better methods out there, but I just didn't want to deal with this shit and wanted a quick fix before I started going insane. And it kind of worked. The paranoia began to ease up after a week and sleep was starting to come in small increments, even without the liquor. Though I was still smoking in order to stave off the nightmares. Another week and I was starting to forget about it. It was just a fucked up night, the smoke caused some hallucinations, I almost died. But I didn't. Now I'm fine, it's all good. Continuing to think about it is a non-value added activity. Just forget about it and move on. Which I might have been able to do if I hadn't run into Cindy. Now I'd never met or seen Cindy ever before. So you can bet it was a bit of a shock when this tall, brunette fitness model type comes over and sits beside me on the park bench while I'm staring at trees, sipping my Americano. She looked scared, worried, a mix of both. "You don't remember me, do you?" she asked me. I shook my head. "I don't think so. Where would we have met?" She sighed, as if me saying that had just confirmed something she really didn't want to hear. "The factory," she told me. I stared at her. Suddenly, every awful feeling was funneling back into my psyche at once. It was hard to say anything in that moment, but she seemed to be waiting pretty patiently for an answer, and so I forced one out. "You mean the rave?" "Yeah, I was there. Crazy shit, huh? Are you uncomfortable talking about it? After what happened to you?" Obviously I was, but I lied. "No," I told her. "Not at all. Wait, what do you mean? What happened to me?" "Well, I tried dragging you out that night. I mean, I really did. Everybody else was running away, but you were just kneeling there. Kneeling in front of the stage and you weren't moving." She paused and I nodded at her to continue. You were staring at something, staring right into the fire like you were in a trance or something. I tried dragging you away, I really did. But you wouldn't budge, I mean. It almost felt like you were attached to the floor. It was kind of freaky. How long was I there for? I'm not sure. At least like half a minute. I didn't stick around for that long, sorry. And what was I staring at? What? In the fire. What was I looking at? She shook her head. I don't know. I didn't check. The flames were hurting my eyes. I nodded slowly. This was a lot to process, and we stayed silent for a long time. Are you okay? She asked after a while. I mean, were you injured at all? Not really, I told her. I looked at the ground and then felt her hand on my leg. It's a relief, you know, to see you. I looked up and her face was a lot closer to mine. That you made it out, you know? That you're okay. I tried to smile and then began stumbling over my words. Yeah, I guess. She laughed and then so did I. She then told me to come up to her apartment later that evening. Said she'd treat me to some DoorDash. Of course I accepted. And even if a red flag had been visible in that moment, I had been rendered colorblind. So I go home, take a shower, brush my teeth, do what's necessary to give myself a fighting chance. Not that I was really expecting anything. I just assumed that she felt guilty about it all. And I'm also not one to pass up a free meal. I get over there at around 7 and she invites me in with this huge smile on her face and I can see 2 large greasy boxes of fried chicken on the counter. We hug. She grabs a couple of beers out of her fridge and then we take all the food and drink over to the couch. We start watching Dune Part 2, but I'm hardly paying attention to it. Too many other things on my mind. We finish Dune and then, to my surprise, she pulls out a VHS. You like horror movies? She asks me. Generally speaking, I do, but I still wasn't far removed enough from the incident to be terribly excited about the prospect of watching one. Which of course I didn't mention to her, I just nodded. Hell yeah, I love them. She stood up and then walked over the television and then reached behind it and pulled out a VCR. The thing looked fucking ancient, and from what I could tell didn't have any indication of any sort of brand on it at all. She blew a thick layer of dust off the top of it and then went about setting it up. She then grabbed the VHS and slid it in before sitting back on the couch, resting her head on my shoulder. In any other situation, I would have been ecstatic. But right then and there, I couldn't be. The mood had shifted in a way that I really didn't like for reasons that I couldn't fully understand. The television turned on, staying on a black screen for the better part of a minute before plain white text flashed across the screen. Part 1. The opening scene was simply a shot of an empty field at night. There were some trees to the left, what looked like an abandoned farmhouse in the distance. And it went on for an insane amount of time. 10, maybe 15 minutes of this one static shot. It could have been a picture had the wind not moved the grass and leaves every so often. I made a comment addressing how strange it was. Cindy didn't respond. Finally, it cut to another scene. It looked like found footage of somebody walking through a dark forest. But unlike most found footage movies, you couldn't hear the breaths of whoever was holding the camera. They spent about 10 minutes walking through the woods until all of the trees and foliage had cleared out. Now the camera was focusing on a building. A factory. The factory. I didn't really react when I first saw it. I mean, there was no way. It couldn't have been the same one. I mean, how the fuck could it have been? Suddenly I became hyper-aware of everything around me. The sounds and smells in the apartment, Cindy's grip on my bicep, any shapes lurking in the corner of my vision. The cameraman continued towards the factory, and once he made his way inside, there was no more debating it. This was absolutely the same place. I watched as they walked up to the stage, began pouring gasoline all over it. And then I could watch no longer. I ripped my arm away from Cindy and practically leapt off the couch. What the hell are you showing me? I asked her. She had this amused look on her face as if she were surprised it took so long for me to finally snap. What do you mean? She said, a mocking undertone in her voice. I thought you liked horror movies. Where the hell did you get this tape from? She smiled, shook her head. I just had it, silly. I've always had it. What in the fuck is that supposed to mean? Her face dropped, the creepy smile wiped away, now replaced by something colder. Sit back down, she said. Your scene's coming up soon. Yeah, fuck that. I turned and bolted for the door and then down the hallway and down the stairs, then all the way back to my own building. Catch my breath in the elevator, then check to see that my front door's still locked because now the paranoia is invading every inch of my senses, then crack open a beer and pace around the living room. There was no way that just happened, I'm telling myself, but this is not a nightmare, I'm not asleep. But how can I really be sure of that? Dreams feel real in the moment, don't they? Then I remember the time trick and check my phone and see that it's around 11 p.m. 11 p.m., I'm aware of it. I'm not asleep. The cops, I start telling myself. Call the cops. But what if they think I'm crazy? What am I supposed to tell them? I got to the fridge and opened another beer. Sip it and try to relax, get my thoughts together. That tape is evidence of a crime. She's in possession of evidence of a crime. I have a friend who's a cop, Jack, so I call him, explain what happened, gave him Cindy's address. He said he'd treat it as an anonymous tip and that he'd investigate it, give me an update on what he finds. This makes feel a bit better, and I crawl into bed, watch some bullshit videos on my phone until I finally managed to pass out. When I woke up, the sun was out and I was coated in sweat. my eyes darting across the bedroom, searching for something that may or may not have been there. A nightmare, I was assuming. Something horrible that I thankfully couldn't remember. I grabbed my phone, opened it up to see a missed call and a text from Jack. "That address you gave me doesn't exist. You sure you gave me the right one?" I text him back. I might not have. "Which address did you look into?" He replied within a few minutes, and then I traced his response to the address that Cindy had written down for me. Exact same thing. Then I gave Jack a call, asked him to elaborate further. "I don't know what to tell you, dude. That address doesn't exist," he told me. "There's some out there that are kinda close to it, but they're in different countries. I have no idea where you went that night." I couldn't really believe what I was hearing, so I confirmed it for myself. He was right. No address matching it, at least nowhere even remotely nearby. Then I tried remembering how I even got there last night, and I couldn't do it. I mean, I really couldn't. I couldn't remember searching up directions or walking there or even leaving my apartment. I told Jack that I'd talk to him later and hung up. Only one explanation for this shit. I'm going insane. I inhaled too much smoke that night, and now I'm going through some kind of psychosis. Cindy wasn't real, the cameraman wasn't real. I'm really just losing my fucking marbles. At least this is what I want to believe. So I went about looking for a psychiatrist in my area, and then booked a consultation with one that had decent enough reviews. I'm headed there later today. I'll provide an update when I can, hopefully with good news.